They say, okay, now nothing goes to the production until it goes at least through this smoke test of some kind. So that's something which will happen.
So Deepak, one thing I found, right? So in most companies, when I was a consultant as well as wherever I work, the definition of change is not. It's a very fundamental ITSM concept, right? What is a
Yes.
change, right? What is covered under a change, right? Absolutely, 100%. Most of the application changes are controlled, well controlled, right? Several times the containers, be it Kubernetes or be it a Java container or you take Python interpreter, most of these kind of software packages, they're all controlled, right? They use some local Nexus or some kind of a repository package management system, and then they control what comes into the company, and it's highly change control. We'll take one step further. OS patching is also well controlled. Database upgrades are well controlled. Database patches are well controlled. But the moment you go into the system side, right? It could be even cyber, right? They are, for a reason, they are given a little bit of more leeway, right? And if you think about it, to your point, 99% of the time we never had global catastrophe like it happened in case of CrowdStrike, because there is quite a bit of redundancies there, right? If your network circuit is wrong, you will have alternate circuits through which you will route the traffic. Or if you have some kind of a switches wrong, you'll have probably another switch you will cover. This kind of global distribution, one shot, for some software which has, like CrowdStrike vendor who has 23% market share in that particular category, right? With the ability to touch the kernel, right? I go back to that. That I don't know how many people other than a CISO and a CTO and a particular control engineering department who manages that control, like end user, like end edge level security, be even aware of a software called CrowdStrike.
That's exactly. So you see, nobody who uses a desktop or an end user device, they would have known about it, right? And it comes back to again the reliability of their past experience, right? So and now just because they realize that this okay, so this is so important, we never thought about it. Remember, you see, Patch Tuesday, nobody deploys it on Patch Tuesday, right? Nobody deploys it on Patch Tuesday because they have the experiences, and Microsoft self says, please have test your badges, test your patches, because Microsoft doesn't really know what your hardware looks like, right? And there may be incompatibilities which Microsoft is not aware of, right? Now, and that's what has been put into head of all the operations people and says, okay, must test. But CrowdStrike, in that sense, they probably created a false sense of security for people that whatever we do, you can blindly follow and you have no need to test. Right? Now, it's also the duty of the architects to say, okay, how do you decide whether you can trust somebody or not? Again, goes back to their past record. Say, okay, past record is good. You can do it. And even going back to your ITSM point, right? Even in ITSM, there's in the change control, there is something called a standard change and a normal change, right? You know that, right? How do you go from a normal change to a standard change? It again goes back to your past record. See, this is a low risk change. Nothing happens. This is an auto approval, right? Even though it is change control, it is auto approved, right? So the process is still followed, but the risk is not mitigated until it fails.
Yeah, I remember my team did a actual identity and access management single sign-on for a global company on a Thursday evenings as a standard change, and hardly anybody noticed because we were, to your point, we made it so predictable that the chances of failure was extremely low. And for us, we had a redundancy, so we have ability to roll back, all the things that we are talking about, like canary deployment was followed, blue-green deployment was followed. We always had a backup and rollback. DNS control was with us. So we were able to quickly, we did mess up. I mean, we did have bad releases. It's not that our software is perfect, but we had redundancies to roll back very, very quickly with least impact to most users.
Yeah, the reason why this one was more impactful is because it was at the edge, right? Where because middle level services like identity and all these things, they do impact. They can create catastrophes also, but you can build in redundancy. What do you do at the last point? There is no redundancy, right? My laptop fails. I have no redundancy, right? So that is what happened there. The last point it failed, and the impact is huge because people just cannot do their jobs, right?
So I have even fundamental question, right? So
yeah,
if you remember when I started in the industry, platform portability and platform compatibility was one of the key features, right? Your entire web services, they are platform independent. Your Java is platform independent. To a large extent, Python is platform independent, right? Now, why do companies need to have a single operating system, right? I love Microsoft, I love Mac, equally love both. Okay.
Yeah.
Why do companies the enterprises not able to create enough heterogeneity? Still a question.
So the answer to that question is mostly around standardization, right? Just think about IT help desks who are managing more than 3 environments, let's say Mac, Windows, Linux, right? It's extremely difficult to get IT support in a heterogeneous environment.
100%. Right? I agree.
Right. Now, we can say everything can be browser based and say it is irrespective. You just bring up an iPad instead of a Windows machine. It should simply still work, right? But it does not, because there is a printer connected to it. There is a billing device. There is a scanner. There is all kinds of things which are hardware dependent, which again comes back to we should standardize because we need to support 10,000 devices, right? So that is a loop which we keep going into. Heterogeneity versus standardization, there's a payoff, right? You can survive a disaster if you have heterogeneity, but at the same time, people are looking for efficiency. Right? So how do I bring...
On a normal day, it is a cost.
Yes, on a normal day, it is a cost.
And most of the days are normal days, except the bad Friday. Friday the 13th, CrowdStrike strikes.
I think the interesting thing, if you have to kind of get it together, right? At hindsight, you can always say this can be done, that could have been done. But I think the key learning for this is to understand that the maturity itself is not a exponential curve or a flat line. It goes up and down because the context keeps changing, right? You would have been this mature, but over a period of time, things would have happened and your maturity would have. Then you kind of go up again. So in this case, if you look at it, if you just take a non-emotional look at it, the DevOps maturity has definitely dropped. That's why this happened. Okay. And there could be 50 reasons. Each company has to figure out what caused its maturity to down. I think we talked about a couple of things over here, right? Trust into the sports manufacturer, that kind of a thing. Like, I think it's fairly true, right? You see a ISI or a FSAI or a FDA approval, you have more confidence in buying that product. Okay. So I think it's something like that. And as architects, I guess the key learning is constantly keep asking this question, right? What if? Risk
management. We need to keep evaluating the risk again and again.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing. And I think this also repeats, like Vamsi was talking about packages and things coming up, right? I forget that next time I will get it. The HTTPS circuits, HTTPS SSL certificates were failing. I think it was like 7, 8 years, 10 years back.
Root certificates. So the intermediate certificates used to expire.
All over the place. Okay. And the guy who wrote it The guy who
OpenSSL.
wrote the code was one individual, like literally one individual, and it hit everybody.
So
And
digital
that actually-
certificates were considered to
Yeah.
be when the internet came, right? When the entire websites, the entire SSL started, it became a big cottage industry, right? So many players came and they started becoming the trust authorities. And from the root certificate, all these intermediaries, when they started getting their own intermediate results, they all got converged and they all became consolidated into probably some 10 companies. And in that process, in some cases, they lost track of tracking the fact that that intermediate certificate is about to expire. And all the edge certificates that were generated out of that intermediate respect expired en masse. Right? That's
So-
what you're talking about, Kumaran. Yeah.
And no, even another scenario.
You know, there's the bug
code
in-
which was there, right? There was just
OpenSSL.
one guy who had the basic code, openness. One guy
Openness.
the code.
Heartbleed, huh? Is that Heartbleed?
Yeah, but I think OpenSSL is, I think, not even 4 years old. I think just before COVID.
No,
I think.
No, this was 2014.
The issue
2014.
came, but the actual code was written long time back, is what
Yeah,
I'm trying to say.
Heartbleed.
So, was it hard? Okay. So, the
Yeah.
guy who
And-
wrote the actual code, right? And then it got into one package like that, right? So, it's a family. So, the rootmost package was done so long back, but finally the fix had to be done by that root
That guy.
package.
No, and that actually shake the confidence in the value of open software, right?
Open source.
Because it was open and everybody saw this bug. Why nobody fixed it?
Yeah. We had Log4j. 2 years back, we had Log4j.
Yeah. Same
Yeah.
thing, right? Again, open software. Why
Open
nobody
source
saw
software,
it, right? Open source software, nobody saw it. So that actually shook the confidence of people in open source software.
Right.
So
Yeah,
and
that's
that is a topic by itself. We should.
I
think
know
about
one
it
of the
one-
days we should speak definitely about
We
that.
should.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a good learning. And I think hopefully now the supply chain will now say, oh, okay, we are at here and we have to increase maturity and things like that. All right. Thanks all for
Thank you.
joining.
Thanks.
We'll catch up again next.